Hello everybody, Sir Raz here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another replay analysis. Today we have some gold level Zerg versus, platinum level Zerg versus Protoss. Sorry, quality. I think you did say you were platinum, so, I'm actually excited to do this matchup. This is probably the matchup I feel that I know best, and, I'm excited to talk about it. So he sent me quality here, sent me two different replays, and I went through and looked at both of them, and I thought that this one was the better of the two replays. So I'm going to talk about this one. There's some mistakes made in both of them that I think would apply to both these replays as well. So it is on Zelnaga, and we do have Jethro is his opponent, a blue Protoss up here. All right, so before I start, also I was thinking of, well, one, if you want your replay analyzed, definitely continue to send them to me, siraztv@gmail.com. And two, I was actually thinking of doing some live coaching instead, and just recording it, you know, streaming it live, recording it, and then importing it over to YouTube. So if anyone is interested in that, get in contact with me either over YouTube or send it to my email. And you have to be on the North American server, or I guess have a trial key so I can get on whatever server you're on. And I'd like it if you had a practice partner, someone who you could play with. So if you have a way for me to play on the same server as you, or you're on the NA North America server, and you have a practice partner and you want some coaching, get in contact with me, and we'll figure something out. So I think I might be doing that. So I don't know, I kind of want some interactive stuff. So if anyone's interested, definitely get a hold of me. So with that, let's get back with this game. First thing I want to point out is quality here. This is a decent build, but it's not. I don't think the best build for this matchup. So this is a Roach build. What he did is he went 14 spawning pool, 13 gas, I think, and then a Roach Warren on like 16, 17, something like that. And this will allow him to do some early Roach pressure. But what I want to say, let me pause this for a sec here, actually. But what I want to say is, I think you don't have to fast expand in the matchup, but I think speedling openings are better, just because they have way more different directions they can go. If you open something like 14 gas, and yes, gas before pool, what that does is it allows you to get ling speed really quickly. 14 gas, and then build a drone, and then 14 pool, or something, you know, along that line. You can even go like 15 gas, 14 pool if you feel greedy or whatever, but something along that line. Gas first, and then immediately after a pool. Maybe build one drone in between. That'll allow you to get speedlings out really early, and it just gives you so many more options. You can still go from Roach from there. You can go to a fast expand. Well, you can expand off of that, maybe not a fast expand, but you can expand off of that. There's just so many more options. You can even tech fast, you can go Baneling bust, lots of different options. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. But real quickly, the other thing I want to talk about here is, okay, quality did scout, very good. And look at this. Look at this wall in, guys. Like, when I see a wall in like this, I'm like, oh my god, it's Christmas! Because that will win you a game right there. So what quality should be doing right here, right now, he shouldn't be building a Roach Warren, he shouldn't be thinking about expanding, he shouldn't do anything. He should just be building ass tons of lings and just kill him. Like, seriously, you can kill any Protoss with straight lings if he doesn't have a tight wall in like this. It's not even hard. You just stop everything you're doing, build only lings, get ling speed as fast as possible, pull the guys off of gas, and just swarm them with lings, and you will kill them, I guarantee it. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out in this game. That's one of the reasons I chose this replay. If you're a Zerg player and you see something like this, you should be like pissing in your pants out of excitement. Like, seriously, this is the best thing that can happen in a game because it's a free win. It's absolutely a free win. You just build lings, you swamp their front, you should have lings out, enough lings out before the sentry even gets up to kill the zealot. You know, you have like 4 to 6 lings, kill that zealot, then you have to kill a sentry. I mean, lings just demolish sentries, guys. And then it's free reign. You just have like lings all over the base, you can kill this pylon, then the probes will come out to try and defend you, that stops all their mining. It's game over right there. And that's what Quality should have been doing here. You know, he scouted, he should have taken advantage of that. Instead, he does do a Roach Rush. I mean, not terrible. Okay, so he executes his Roach Rush really well. And in all honesty, I don't like to Roach Rush against Protoss. And you'll see why in a second here. If they fast expand, I think a Roach Rush is definitely viable. But if they're just going like gateway units, it just comes so slow. They'll have a sentry in time, you know, nice force field there, can pick off these 2 roaches, blocks the rest from even getting in here, and forces Quality to retreat. You know, a good Protoss would be chrono boosting at this point, also have an Immortal out, so no problem, right? That's why I don't like the Roach Rush in this matchup. I think it's much more effective in the Terran matchup than this matchup. So the first point, I guess, of this game is I like Ling openings. I mean, I think they're totally superior to any sort of one-base Roach play. But other than that, Quality is doing pretty good. I really like this. He took a 2nd expansion pretty early, which is something he needs to do. He's transitioning out of Roaches and just playing a pretty standard game. One thing I want to talk about is Queen timing. So if you're opening a one base like a pool, gas or gas pool, any sort of opening like that, right? Oh, okay. We'll actually pause this real quick while I watch this before I finish that thought. Okay, so if you're opening any sort of like one base kind of opening, like fast link speed or roaches or anything like that, what you want to do is you'll want to make that queen, and then you inject with your first thing, and then usually the second first 25 energy or whatever, then usually the second energy I'll get that creep tumor and start creep spreading. Very important to get an early creep tumor. So, and then usually you do take that second base, so you don't need the larva. Maybe, you know, honestly, I guess with a build like this, you might want to actually delay that creep to a little bit longer, but at this point, I mean, Quality should have a creep tumor down by now. And I want to comment on something as well. Pretty good gas timing. You know, what he did was he got his lair and then take that second gas, and I think that's just a great gas timing for Zerg. The only time you want to take a second gas before lair is if you're going to go for like a ridiculous Baneling bust. Like just a huge Baneling bust, you'll take that second gas. Allows you to get out the number of Banelings you need. So, he asked me to talk about timings and stuff like that. So, that's how I do my gas timing. So then the other thing I want to talk about is here we can resume the game. This is why early roach aggression sucks. Stalkers just can chase down roaches all day long and kill tons of roaches here. If you're not careful, and I just do not like early aggression unless you're facing a fast expand. And the reason I like it against a fast expand is, one, roaches have that long range, so they can kind of outrange cannons in certain areas and do a lot of damage to the expansion. And two, to expand early, a Protoss player needs to not get an early gas, which means no early stalkers. Makes sense, right? So that's why I think roaches are not... Roach rushing is not a good option, so anyways. On with that. The other thing I want to mention is scout timing. So Quality did a good job. He has this this drone in his opponent's base, right? So he can scout at any time. One of the most key scout timings in this game, in this matchup, is the scout at the 5-minute mark, maybe like the 5:30 mark, something around there. So I really like this. He immediately put an Overlord here at the beginning of the game, and it's way past that now. It's like the 9-minute mark, but that's when you can scout a 5-gate, when you can scout a 3-gate, or a 4-gate, I mean, a 3-gate expand, like a 3-gate robo, whatever. So I think the 5-minute mark is when you want to scout. Alright, so a little bit, both players are pretty much stabilized here, both on 2 base. I think Jethro's doing a pretty good job, or Quality's doing a pretty good job of keeping his worker count pretty high. And he has a good job. He has this one watchtower. Doesn't have this one, but whatever. You know, you might want to actually consider. You always want to try and hold these watchtowers as a Zerg. So you would probably want to poke out here, see what's up here, and you could actually this force or add in a couple lings. You could do pretty well against this. But anyways, the other thing I want to say is he did see the Immortals, right? And it's a good transition, going for Hydras to deal with Immortals. This one way you can do it, very, very viable. The other way you can do it is Ling Roach, and I actually prefer Ling Roach instead. And especially if you open speedlings, you already have the speed. Oh, and you need roach speed. Very, very important here. That's probably the most important upgrade to get when you go lair. But speed roaches and speedlings will beat an immortal force, so that's usually how I choose to deal with it. Hydras are acceptable as well. The only problem with hydras is a lot of times Protoss players already have that robo bayout, so it's a quick transition to Colossus, and Colossus just get destroyed, or destroy, oh no, Colossus just destroy hydras is I guess what I was going for there. I kind of did the reverse. I wish hydras destroyed Colossus, but just not the case. And here's another thing I noticed. I think this is a good time to talk about this. Hotkeys. Quality. I mean, really? Quality. Come on, you have to hotkey your army. You have to hotkey your queens. So, this is, I don't know if you watched my other video where I talked a little bit about ZvZ. Couple different ways you can go about hotkeying. So you have this 4 hatch, right? So I think you want to probably stick with that. It's a good choice. You put all your hatches on 4. Perfectly acceptable. I mean, that's excellent, actually. I mean, who are we kidding here? Excellent. Can't get any better than that, right? So then what you want to do is have your army on 1, 2, or 3. Well, okay, you basically have Roach Hydra. Perfect army to just put in one control group. Put that all in 1. And so then you have this army on 1. You have this Overseer over here, right? Put that on something as well. I personally prefer like 0 to put it on, or you can choose anything. I mean, you can choose any of your hotkeys to put this on, but just have this Overseer here, and it'll just kind of remind you to scout a little bit more often, and you can easily go to it, whatever, you know. Then the other thing you need is Queen hotkeys. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Some players prefer to put all the queens on one hotkey, and then they inject using the press that hotkey, press V, hold shift, backspace, click, backspace, click, backspace, click. So this has some advantages. It allows you to inject super fast, right? The disadvantages, though, sometimes your queens get run around like idiots, basically, and that can kind of cause some troubles in the mid game, I think, more than anything. Mid to early game, that can cause some troubles. The other way to do it, and this is the way I think a lot of players think is best, well, like Hydra uses this way, for example, or Idra, and everybody loves Idra, right? But anyways, the way he does it is he has each queen on a hotkey. So like say you put, you know, the queen in your main on 5, right? And then what you do is when you're fighting or macroing or whatever, you just click 5, check to see how much energy he has. If he has over 25 energy, you know it's time to inject. So then click V, or click 5, V, and then click on your hatchery, and that will, you know, bring you 5, hitting that button twice will bring you right to the queen. V will select the larva and click. So I'm pretty sure those hotkeys, I was hitting them, but I'm pretty sure those hotkeys did random things on the game. But that's besides the point. So that will really help you. So you can do either way. So either you'd want to have like this queen on 5, this one on 6, this one on 7. And then every time you inject, you just go 5-5V, click, 6-6V, click, 7-7V, click. Or if you're doing the other way, you know, you just go 5-5, say you put all your queens on 5, 5-5V, shift, backspace, click, click, backspace, click, backspace, click, backspace, click, you know. And they'll take a little bit of practice, but it'll drastically improve your injects. And of course, more importantly, that's like one of the best ways to improve your APM. Alright, maybe you don't really care about that, but that is an awesome way to improve your APM. And you know, you actually have a pretty fast mouse APM. I just want to point this out here. 74 with basically only using your mouse, which is pretty ridiculous. I mean, you're very fast with your mouse. If you got some of the hotkeys down, you would be an incredibly fast player, believe it or not, Paulie. I mean, I think you'd have an APM of like 150 easily. Without too much work, so, and that's pretty good. I mean, 150 is pretty solid, so I just wanted to point that out. Also, another thing I really want to point out is a great job on this, having this Overlord to scout. I mean, you constantly know what he's going, and it works out pretty well. So far, I mean, I pretty much haven't talked on I haven't really. I've talked on a couple things. One, this. Well, you know, I'll save that to the end. So at this point, I mean, you're looking pretty good. He's not transitioning to Colossus. Roach Hydra just destroys this type of army. You should definitely win here, no problem. I mean, you already have this game won, basically, in my opinion. You're maxed out Roach Hydra. You don't want to, you want an A move? That's important. And then at the same time, this is actually, okay, so this is really good as well. What you did here is pretty good. You have those force fields, don't want to deal with them, just burrow. Great choice there. But what you should be doing here is instead of looking at this army, right, you should be saying, okay, I'm just going to A move right here, and your army, you know, will be doing fine because it's Roach Hydra. It doesn't really matter how well you control it. It still will basically do the same. And you should be saying, oh my god, I have 2,000 resources. I need a macro like a madman. So what you should be doing is you have this army hotkey, right? And then what you want to do is you want to go 4, build a bunch of stuff, and then hit like whatever you do your queen. So at 5, 5-5V, you know, click 5-6-6V, click whatever. Do that as quickly as possible, and then immediately go back to your army by hitting 1. And that's kind of the thing I told the other Zerg player. I did a replay analysis of is, who cares about watching your army? I mean, it's flippin' Roach Hydra. This army basically takes care of itself. Yeah, you could do that burrow trick with force fields, right? But it's almost not even worth it in a lot of cases. And besides, if you see something like that, you can just burrow and then immediately go back to macroing. You want to focus on this idea of not having to watch your army at all times. So what happens is, okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this. This is such an important point, I think, for lower level players that it cannot be emphasized enough, right? You attack, or you send your army someplace, right? And then you immediately go macro, and this is where players get the insanely high APMs, because they can macro so quickly. It's unbelievable how fast these guys macro. This is where, if you want to improve your APM, this is what you should focus on, right? Focus on just macroing as fast as humanly possible. So you look away from your army, you just say, alright, I need a macro, like, unbelievably fast, and you say, 4, use all my larva, do all my injects, build a couple, overlords, and then immediately, then you can go back to your army and see what's going on, right? And hotkeys will just make that all the much quicker. So that, I think, is something you really need to work on, quality, more than anything. You had pretty good game sense. You know, your army composition is great against what you're fighting. You have decent creep spread now. Early on is a little iffy. You took a 3rd base at a pretty good time. You took a 4th base. I mean, you're macroing pretty well. You have overlords around the map, so I really like a lot of things in your play. But I think I mean, it would really help you if you used more hotkeys and worked a little bit more on your macro. And I know a lot of players don't like to really hear that. You know, players say, all right, well, just macro better and you'll get better, right? Well, I think that that is probably one of the largest holes in your game. But yeah, at this point you pretty much win the game. So let's go to everybody camera. I mean, this is pretty much over. He's going High Templar, but they're not that good against roaches. They're okay against this army, but it's not especially since he's not controlling all that well. So I guess one thing I want to point out, if you do see this High Templar army, how do you deal with it? Like, if you really want to counter it as best as possible, best way to do it is burrowed roaches with speed or movement. So you don't just want to forsake doing hydras. Just continue getting these upgrades like you did, which is good. But get this tunneling clause, and that just destroys High Templar. High Templar can't really do enough damage to burrowed roaches when they're burrowing and regenning, so it's kind of a joke. What you do is you just burrow your army underneath them, if you can, and then you pop up, and that way High Templar can't storm without hurting their own army. That's one way to deal with it. The other way is if you can't get underneath them for whatever reason, all you want to do is when you see these storms, any place there's a storm, you just go over it, click R. Go over another area, click R. And then when the storm's done, go over it, click R, and pop them back up. And it just works wonders. It just destroys this sort of army composition. So the other way is if it's a really late game, Broodlords do really well against this sort of army composition. But with that, I mean, I still think you pretty much have this won. You have enough roaches, you have burrow, this guy can't keep up with your harvester now. It's pretty much over. So, but let's reiterate kind of what I talked about here. So today, the first thing is with this matchup, if you see something like this, that's like a free win, guys. Just take advantage of it. I cannot stress that enough. You see this, just build lings, get ling speed as fast as possible, take those guys off gas, continue pouring in lings, inject with a queen, make sure you don't get supply block, and then eventually you will have enough minerals to take an expansion, so do that as well. And just keep up the pressure and you will win. I guarantee it. I guarantee it, you will win with that army. Other thing I talked about is hotkeys. Hotkeys are going to be so important for you to achieve in quality. I know it's painful to learn hotkeys, and it really sucks. Like, when you first learn hotkeys, you're like, oh, I'm so slow. Why am I so slow? I can't, you know, you'll lose games because of it. But I guarantee, in the end, you will win more games after you learn these hotkeys. It's just, it'll help you so much. And the big thing is you need your army hotkeys so you can quickly go between your army and macroing. And then you need those queens hotkeys. I think your hotkeys are fine, right? What else did I talk about? You did a good job scouting. You did overlords around the base. You could maybe work in your creep spread a little bit. Did a good job upgrades. I mean, you did a lot of things really good in this game. And you just need to fix some of these holes, and I think you'll become a much stronger player. I guess we can talk a little bit about the matchup as well, quickly. One thing that I like to do that you did not do that I highly suggest is throwing down a spire, so a safety spire. So you scouted this, you saw his army composition, Roach Hydra great against it, right? But at the same time, you also want to, maybe after you feel safe, you feel like your army is safe, you can defend against any sort of attack, you want to throw down that spire. I mean, and what that does is allows you to react very quickly to a Colossus transition. So that's something I think a lot of Zerg players have started doing, just throwing down a spire just in case. And I think it's a very solid move. So I definitely suggest that. So basically what you want to do is, an army like this basically kills all ground armies of the Protoss player, right? Except for if he has Colossus. It kills all armies basically until the Protoss player has Colossus, right? So as soon as you see Colossus, you just pump out a bunch of Corruptors and go Corruptor Roach, and you will be very solid in the game. And then also, you probably could have tried to go to Hive. I mean, this game lasted long enough. Just make it a conscious effort to say, all right, so at the 15 to 20, somewhere in there, 15 to 20 minutes, you want to start, if you're not in immediate danger, you want to start thinking about Hive Tech. I think 15 minutes is probably a better time frame. Then we can talk a little bit about times before I go too. Some of the important timings in this matchup are the 5-minute mark. I think scouting, so important. You have an overlord in position, like on this map, this is a great place to put your first overlord, or even like over here, somewhere around this corner. Or even you can kind of sneak them up over here eventually and come from this direction. But you want to have an overlord in position to scout at the 5-minute mark. It's just absolutely needed. And the 5-minute mark is so important because at that time you can tell if it's a 3-gate, if it's a 4-gate, if it's a 3-gate robo, all those you can scout. And it's just a great timing. The other timing that you need to watch out for is, in my opinion, when a lot of times you'll see the first Colossus pop out in the 6-gate timing. So the 6-gate timing is a push where the Protoss fast 3-gate expands, and then he'll push out with 6 gateways, kind of doing like a delay. It's like a delayed 4-gate basically, and that will hit at around the 8 to 9 minute mark. So you got to be careful for that. Also, the first Colossus will pop at about the 9 minute mark, something like that. But the Protoss player won't hit till a little bit later because usually they wait till about 3 Colossus. So usually the attack will hit at around the 10-11 minute mark. What other timings are important? Blink Stalkers will hit at like a 7 to 8 minute mark. So if you scout an early Twilight Council, that's when that'll hit. Same with DTs. So if you scout an early Twilight Council, you want to prepare for probably Blink Stalkers and DTs. Those are the two kind of things you want to work for, and that's not too hard to do. Blink stalkers, best way to deal with it would be Hydra Roach or Hydra Ling, depending on if you don't have the Roach Warren, don't just go Hydra Ling, and it works really well. The other way to or Roach Speed works really well. So any of those are decent options. Like Roach Speed do okay against Blink Stalkers. Go figure. Roach Ling, I think all those options work pretty well. You just have to make sure. The big thing about that is you have to make sure you have a large enough army to deal with it, so they can't really take advantage of their Blink. Right? Blink really gives them more health than they normally have. That's kind of the effect of it. But if you have a large enough army to just crush it and kill them, it works really well. So that's about it that I can think of for timings. I think that's about it for the replay. If you have any comments or suggestions, whatever, let me know. I hardly ever do replay analysis. So some guys suggested that I rewind less, so I tried to rewind less this game. But yeah, let me know. And also, if anyone's interested in wanting to try and do a live coaching session, definitely get in contact with me. I talked a little bit about that earlier. So siraztv@gmail.com. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's about it. I got a mechanical keyboard. It's all clicky and nice. You can hear it, right? I don't know. It was on sale, so I broke down and bought one. Damn sales get me every time, right? It's a Rosewell RK9000. I don't know. Whatever. Apparently got really good reviews, so. Cherry blue switches. A lot of people like blacks, I know, but I'm going to go with the blues. Try it out. Yeah, with that, I think that's about it. So, Straz saying, I hope you guys enjoyed and hope this helps you guys, and see y'all later.